Hey guys, it's Melanie. Welcome back, or welcome if you are new. I hope you are having a fantastic day. In this video, I want to share a post-burn review of Yankee Candle Spiced Pumpkin. I recently purchased this alongside some other fall favorites from Yankee when I popped into the one store that is remaining in the area where I live. It is, of course, all the way on the other side of town, so takes a while to get there. Really don't get to that side of town too terribly often. I did have a Yankee Candle that was much closer to my house, but they closed. I think they actually closed just prior to the pandemic. So yeah, that store has not been around for many years, but at the time it was totally fine when they closed. I mean, I definitely miss the nostalgia of, going to the mall and stopping in at Yankee, but I wasn't really shopping with Yankee around that time. Once we moved out of our old house and into this new house here, I really made a commitment to try to only melt paraffin candles. They did a lot of damage to our last house. And so, at the time, Yankee was still predominantly mostly paraffin wax. And since they've made this transition now to this vegetable wax blend that they have, or plant-based wax blend that they have, I really feel like the overall burn, just the quality of the burn is so much better. So personally, I'm really happy about that transition. I know that there are a lot of people that do miss the paraffin formulation. I think for me, I really prefer the plant-based wax because I just think it tends to burn a lot cleaner. I also don't smell the paraffin undertone. Now, with this new plant-based wax blend, I've heard a couple different things. So I'm just gonna put it out there, and if anybody knows, let me know, because I actually asked the associate in store, and the tumbler jars, so this 2-wick tumbler here, or like the 3-wick jars that they have, those are all just the premium plant wax. However, the wax that is in the old school Yankee Candle jars that have the more classic shape to them, I believe that formulation still does have a little bit of paraffin left within the formulation. Now, that being said, I've heard that all of the waxes have a little bit of paraffin in them, but then I've also heard that it is only the original classic jars that actually still have that little bit of paraffin. So different jars do sometimes require different wax blends to burn properly, so that might be the difference there. I don't know for sure, but if you work for Yankee, or like if you are like a Yankee Candle insider, which I'm not, I'm just buying the candles and reviewing them, but if you have any additional information about whether there is paraffin in all of the jars, or whether it's just in the classic jars, let us know in the comments down below. Personally, you guys know I'm not a huge fan of paraffin, but if there still is a little bit left in this particular wax formulation, so in these 2-wick tumbler jars, I actually don't mind it in here because 1, I can't smell the paraffin, and 2, the burn is so much cleaner that, if there does happen to be some in here, then that's okay. For me, the main concern with the paraffin was that it had a really messy, dirty burn, and that's what I didn't like. Also, I could smell a little bit of that paraffin in the formulation as well, which, I don't know. It didn't always come through super strong, but there were certain fragrances where I could smell it a little bit more than others. So, oops, sorry, Alf is just getting himself situated underneath the tripod here, so hopefully he'll settle down here in a second. Anyway, you guys, we're gonna go ahead and dig into this super nostalgic fragrance. I really love this scent. So it's kind of boring, I'm gonna say. If you've never smelled this, you might stick your nose in it and go, there's nothing special about this. And that's kind of the point though with this one, is that it is really basic, but it's a really well done, nostalgic, like classic, just spicy pumpkin without being overly obnoxiously spicy. So, all right, let's go ahead and dig into spiced pumpkin. Let's get started by reading through the scent description. Spiced pumpkin is the essence of autumn. A smooth, comforting fragrance blends pumpkin with notes of cinnamon, nutmeg, and clove. A dash of mellow vanilla and baked aromas round out the base to create a warm, satisfying, gourmand scent. The top notes are citrus, orange, nutmeg, and spiced pumpkin. The middle notes are cinnamon and clove, and then at the base we have vanilla and baked goods. So, reading those notes, it comes across as a very basic, like pumpkin spice scent, right? But what I think makes this one kind of special is the proportions of these different, well, since it's a gourmand scent, let's call them ingredients. Sometimes I think it is the amounts of the different notes that are added that really help to create an amazing experience with a fragrance. And that's where I think this one really shines, is it has all of the notes in what I think, at least according to my standards, what I think are like the very best proportions, if you will. So let's start at the top. The citrus and the orange. First of all, I don't smell any other citrus outside of orange, so we're gonna slash the citrus. We're gonna talk about the orange. There is a little bit of a fresh squeezed orange type note in this fragrance that adds just a little hint of brightness, but it's only about 5% of the fragrance. So it's a really small amount to my nose, but it is there. And I think it makes this particular spiced pumpkin a little different from most. The nutmeg. This is another place where I feel like this fragrance really kind of knocks it out of the park. I smell way more nutmeg here than I do cinnamon and clove. Don't get me wrong, I love cinnamon and clove and they are present. The clove is, it's not a huge part, but it is there, so it adds that little bit of that like spicy clove vibe. The cinnamon is there as well. Now the cinnamon is not the red hot spicy cinnamon. It is more of the Ceylon like bakery cinnamon. But really, I smell nutmeg more than I do cinnamon and clove. And usually nutmeg kind of takes a back seat to the other notes that I mentioned here. But no, not in this one. This is very nutmeg forward and I love that. When it comes to the spiced pumpkin note. So the pumpkin that I'm smelling here really smells like the Libby's canned pumpkin that you buy to make your pies at, you know, Thanksgiving or Christmas. I don't know. I eat pumpkin pie from Thanksgiving through Christmas, so I'm a huge pumpkin pie person. And this smells exactly like the Libby's canned pumpkin. When you first open it, that is the pumpkin that I get here, which is again why I think this smells so nostalgic for me. When we made our pumpkins in pumpkin pies, I guess I should say, in the 90s for Thanksgiving, we always used the Libby's canned pumpkin. So it just like, this just smells, I don't know, this smells like home to me. I feel like it takes me back to my youth. And I love the fact that this reminds me of like growing up in my mom's house. It's just so nostalgic for me. We've already talked about the cinnamon and the clove, so let's talk about the base notes of the vanilla and the baked notes. I do think there is a nice vanilla that kind of floats throughout this fragrance. It's not like a vanilla extract. You don't get that booziness like you do with vanilla extract. It's more like there's like vanilla bean blended into this and it's kind of creamy. There is a really nice creaminess to this fragrance. The baked notes. Now, I don't know, I feel like overall this smells like a pretty much mostly baked pumpkin pie. So I guess the baked notes, I would describe those as that warm, like finished, like fresh out of the oven pie type of aroma. It does smell like a baked pie, if you will. It doesn't just smell like the pie filling, but I can't detect like an outright crust note. So this doesn't give me crust. I get creaminess from the vanilla, like the vanilla bean creaminess. But I don't get an outright like crust note like I do with some other like pumpkin pie type fragrances. But despite this not necessarily smelling like a pie, it smells really good. It is warm, it's cozy, it's inviting. That little bit of that like orange, that citrus note kind of sets it apart from some other just more straightforward pie fragrances. And it's just enough. And again, it's just a really nostalgic fragrance. This isn't something that you've, I guess, never smelled before. Like we've all smelled like a pumpkin pie or a pumpkin spice type of fragrance. They all kind of have their own nuances. And I think this one here is probably definitely one of my favorites. It is simple, it's well done, it's enjoyable, it is comforting, it reminds me of home, and it's just a super pleasant fragrance. So the scent itself, mwah, chef's kiss. Wouldn't change a single thing. Yeah, in fact, it makes me want to find a good orange candle to maybe pair alongside some of my other like heavier pumpkin scents, because that orange just really pairs well with the pumpkin. Who knew? It smells amazing. More pumpkin pie scents really should have a little dash of citrus in them, because I do think it is a really nice accompaniment. All right, strength and throw. This is where I don't want to say this is causing me a problem, because it's still fine as of right now. But if it dips below the strength of a 6, then I would probably be disappointed in this. But when I first burned this for the first half of the candle, as you can see, I'm just at the halfway point now. The first half of the candle performed at a solid, I would say 7 in terms of strength and throw. So a really good medium plus performance. Now that I'm at the halfway point, I feel like the strength is starting to peter out a little bit for me, and subsequently also the throw. I would put this at more of a 6 now. I can still smell it. It's still very noticeable when you walk into a room, but it is starting to travel a little less around other areas of the house. Now, the other Yankees that I've reviewed so far, with the exception of Golden Pumpkin, because that one was a troublemaker, but these other fall scents that I've reviewed so far, those have actually not like, I don't want to say faded, but didn't decrease in strength and throw as I was going further down. So I don't know. Again, a strength of 6 is okay. It's less than ideal, but I do wish it was still as consistent as it was for the first half of the burn here. I'm gonna keep burning it. I'll probably try to burn it actually all the way down, just so I can report back when I share this in my empties at the end of the month in terms of what it did for the last half of the candle here. But that slight decrease in strength and throw is definitely a little disappointing. Now, none of the other candles that I still have left to review have misbehaved. Like, I don't even want to say misbehaved, because it's not like a huge deal, but those have not, again, gone down in strength and throw. And I'm at the same point with all those other candles as well. So anyway, for what it's worth, that has been my experience with this one. I might see if is this available in a 3-wick? I kind of feel, yeah, I think it's available in a 3-wick. Yep, 3-wick candles. You know what? I'm gonna try that next. We're gonna try the 3-wick next, and we're gonna see how that does, because also I could totally burn this fragrance like throughout the remainder of fall and into the holidays as well. I will carry a pumpkin pie spice scent into Thanksgiving and Christmas, but yeah, in terms of the overall burn quality, let's talk about that, because that has obviously been really important. That is something that I've not really had issues with here. These wicks have been okay, although I will say when lighting for this burn here, as you can see, I am just really getting going with this wax pool. This does get a nice deep wax pool here. It gets down to about this point. But you can see that one of those wicks is a little smaller. The one on the left left is a little smaller than the one on the right. That particular wick on the left right now it's kind of doing that on its own. I didn't trim these wicks prior to the burn. I noticed that one was shorter after I extinguished it the last time that I burned it, and I was like, what's happening here? Now, I didn't take out any of the wax. I may do that before I finish up this burn, just to give that that one wick right there a little more room to breathe. I wonder if maybe that will help with the strength and throw if I get some slightly taller flames going again here, but we'll see. Maybe I'll test that out and I'll report back in the weekly home fragrance roundup. But so far, I haven't really had many complaints in terms of the burn quality. You can see a nice clean jar, like there's no sooting, no discoloration. The wax is still the same color as it was. It's just that one wick that seems to be kind of petering out a little bit. So I'm going to keep paying attention to that one. But overall, I'm still pleased with how the candle has been performing. And I love the fragrance, honestly. Maybe even if it peters out a little bit, this is one of those where I really just like the scent, man. I'm gonna try in a different format though and see if that works out a little bit better for me, because if I could get a strength and throw of like above a 7 for this one, that would be amazing. So if you have tried the 3 wick, will you let me know how it performs? I feel like so far the 2 wicks have been great, but also I'm not averse to trying the Yankee Candle 3 wicks. I don't know, I like the way that the 2 wicks look. I like these tumbler jars. I know they're not for everybody, but I don't know, I kind of like them. I think they're simple, they are straightforward, no fuss, no muss, they work. So anyway, for what it's worth, those are my thoughts on the Yankee Candle Spiced Pumpkin. If you're looking for a true nostalgic, like 1990s kind of vibe, maybe you're in your mid or later 40s and you're looking for some nostalgia, I think this is a great fragrance to do it with. All right, that's what I have for you guys today. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know your thoughts on spiced pumpkin in the comments below. Especially let me know if you have some experience with the 3 wicks, because I am curious to try those. All right, hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Leave your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Toodaloo.